Shocking news. Trump versus Kamala. Who will win? Also, Jasmine Crockett says she stands 10 toes down with Kamala Harris. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer, and then we're going to jump straight into this demonstration. This is another shocking because over 40,000 women have zoomed in on a chat meeting today with Kamala Harris. It's serious, y'all. It's serious. And for the Trump supporters, you have someone that if she don't defeat Trump, you definitely got someone that's not going to just lay down. But let me read this copyright disclaimer, and we're going to jump straight into this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is allegedly. It's all for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in this demonstration is allegedly. Trump versus Kamala. Who will win? We're going to be going over some of Trump's speeches. We're going to be going over some of Kamala's speeches as well. Now, one thing that I found to be interesting. Salute Tracy, salute Tracy, salute Tammy, salute Tammy. One thing that I found to be interesting and very interesting is that Kamala made reference to she will not be fighting for no black issues. We're going to be going over that. Now, maybe she'll have a change of heart. I don't know. But she did speak and she did say, because they asked her about black issues. Salute, Jamie. I see you down there. Salute, Jamie. They did ask her, will you be pushing any black agendas? And she said, I'm not going to be pushing nothing for just no particular people. I'm not going to be pushing no black agendas. However, Trump says the opposite. Trump says, of course, he'll be fighting for African Americans, black Americans. There's a plan. There's a program that Trump even made reference to. So that's going to be a very interesting issue for me. I can't speak for other people because I'm black. I identify with African Americans. I identify with black Americans. And for so many years, 400 plus years, our agendas have either been pushed to the side or either our agendas have never been even brought up. So now you have a president candidate, Trump, who's saying to black Americans, I'm going to fight for you all. That's what the man said. But then on the other side, you got Kamala saying she's not going to be fighting for no black agendas. So for me, that's going to be something that if Kamala still feels that way today, and if Trump still feels that way, I have to put my money on Trump. Maybe the presidential debate, maybe Kamala changes her mind. But if she still holds on to that she's not going to be fighting for no black issues, then she won't get my vote. If Trump is still saying that he will be fighting for black Americans, Trump will get my vote. One thing that most people, when I first started talking about casting my first vote, one thing, salute positive vibes, one thing the majority of the people said to me, they said, Shank, make sure whoever it is that you're voting for, make sure they have your best interests. Make sure it's something that you're getting out of it. Whoever you vote for. They say you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. But just make sure that that person that you're voting for, make sure that there's something that they are getting done for you. Me, like I said, me identifying with black Americans, me identifying with African Americans, there are agendas, there are issues that me and my people have to have brought to the table. Now, if Kamala is saying she's not going to be fighting for no black issues, if Trump is saying he will be fighting for black issues, I got to put my money on Trump. Drop a 1 if y'all feel the same way. Drop a 2 if you disagree. I mean, because the immigrations, how do you get the votes from the immigrants? You push immigrant issues. The LGBT community, how do you get votes from them? You push their agendas. White men, rich white men, how do you get rich white men votes? You push their agendas. Everyone has an agenda. And if you don't have an agenda, then you need to work to get an agenda. And you need to have whoever it is that you're voting for, you need to have them having your agenda on the forefront. So, and this is the first time we're going to go to a clip earlier today of Kamala Harris, first time speaking since the Joe Biden dropout. Let me know what y'all think. And then we're going to come back and chop it up.
Of our administration and our extraordinary athletes. Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He's feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office. And I first came to know President Biden through his son, Beau. We worked together as attorneys general in our states, and back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. The qualities that Beau revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation. And so with that, on behalf of our President and Dr. Biden, I am honored to welcome all of you to the White House to celebrate the achievements of these great athletes. Every one of them is a national champion, a national champion. In America, tens of millions of people play a sport as a child, and the best of the best grow up to become national champions. Here today, we have 7 undefeated teams. 11 repeat champions, and 21st.
You have been listening to Vice President Kamala Harris there on the South Lawn of the White House at an event meant to celebrate college athletes. But at the start, you heard her there effusively praising President Biden less than 24 hours after he decided to withdraw from the Democratic 2024 ticket and endorsed Kamala Harris, who is speaking now. She says she is so grateful to him for his service to the nation, talking about his unmatched legacy in modern history. And also saying that the president's feeling better and recovering fast from his COVID diagnosis. Monica Alba is joining us now. All of this, Monica, as the spotlight now intensifies on the vice president and her political future.
Yeah, and I was struck, Hallie, that she decided in those short comments about President Biden to talk about his late son, Beau Biden, and the fact that Vice President Harris did have a working relationship as former attorneys general years ago before he passed away from brain cancer.
And I don't see nothing wrong with that. Of course, she started it off with acknowledging Joe Biden. I mean, she's the vice president. She served under him, you know, and that's just the respectful thing to do. So, salute, I can't pronounce your name. Oh, well, I feel the same way. Salute Jennifer. Jennifer says, wow, who are the people that says what gets put in history books in school? I can see how so many people are confused as things sure do get twisted. Now, we're going to see, I'm going to grab a clip. Hopefully I could grab this clip of, now it's an old clip, but it's a clip of Kamala stating she's not pushing no black issues. She's not pushing no black agendas. And some people feel as though she shouldn't push black issues. Some people feel that way. I'm one of the ones that says she should push black issues. I mean, everybody else get issues pushed, correct? They come for our vote and they talk about pushing our issues. So if our issues, if our agendas wasn't important, then why, when they come for the black vote, why do they always make promises? Nathaniel, salute. Melanated people are not rocking with Kamala. The Democratic Party is done. Drop a one if you feel like Nathaniel. Drop a one if you feel as though melanated people are not rocking with Kamala. The Democratic Party is done. Drop a one. Drop a two if you think black people are rocking with Kamala. See, one thing that I know for sure when it comes to Kamala, we got to keep in mind that, and I'm not saying all the time, salute James, you got to keep in mind, because Kamala is a woman of color. She identifies as a woman of color. Most of the times, women stick together. Now, I can't say that it's going to be in this situation. Positive Vibe says it's 50-50 because it's still early. Right. And then there are other candidates as well. There are other Democratic candidates that's out there. My opinion, if it's anyone that's going to have a shot at beating Trump, it's going to be Kamala. You know, and what we have to remember is politics. It's politics. And politics is full of tricks. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all tricks. It's all manipulation. It's all a bunch of lies from both sides. From the Republican side, it's a bunch of lies. From the Democratic side, it's a bunch of lies. But who can you identify with as far as getting things done for you? Can it be the Democratic or can it be the Republican? I've heard for many years, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I've heard that the Democratic Party is nothing but a modern day plantation. Mel, salute Mel. Mel says, salute, I'm working, so Shank, can you give a few examples of black issues? And that's a good point, Mel. Give me a second, okay? Salute, Kim. Kim says she locked up our black men for no reason here in San Francisco, California, when she was the DA. And that's true. Now, I'm trying to get to this debate that she had with a woman, and that woman pointed this out. And Kamala was looking dumbfounded. I'm being honest. Jennifer says, I would like her to represent the whole her as she is also Indian with a red dot. I will always go with the best person, not because she is female. Ask Oakland what they think of her. Okay, if it's anybody from the Bay Area, anybody that's repping Oakland, what do y'all think of Kamala? What do y'all think of Kamala? Anybody from the Bay Area? Oakland? What do y'all think of Kamala out there in Oakland? Now let me find this clip. And did y'all know that Trump donated money to Kamala? Now, I don't have no problem with that. I don't see no problem with that. I mean, did y'all know that Pelosi endorses Kamala? Let's go to this, y'all. Positive says she was doing. Jennifer says the person before me nailed the answer that I heard too much on over small amounts of weed. Positive says she was doing her job, so she was right with some of the lockups and probably a few she was wrong on. Unfortunately, that is what happens in the system. That's a good point, Positive. That's a good point. Jen says, I love Tulsi from Hawaii. Appreciate that, Kemp. No, I didn't know that. Didn't she endorse Trump too? Let's check it out, y'all. Let's check it out. I'm coming, Mel.
His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
Vice President Kamala Harris made her first appearance since President Joe Biden stepped down from the 2024 race. Speaking at a White House event on Monday, Harris called Biden's legacy unmatched. She didn't mention her effort to clinch the Democratic nomination, but she did write on X that she'd be visiting the Biden campaign's headquarters in Delaware today. To break this all down, we're joined now by The Hill's congressional reporter, Michael Schnell. Michael, what's the latest on endorsements here?
Yeah, well, Vice President Kamala Harris just picked up a really key endorsement in her quest for the presidency. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi just threw her support behind Kamala Harris. You'll remember that.
What do y'all think of Nancy endorsing Kamala? What do y'all think of Nancy endorsing Kamala?
In the immediate aftermath of Biden stepping down and endorsing Kamala Harris, Speaker Pelosi put out a statement lauding President Biden's service, but stopping short of endorsing Vice President Harris. It raised some eyebrows, but Pelosi today coming out with a full-throated endorsement in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris. So, a big development, a big pickup for the Vice President.
Yes, very big pickup for her. In addition to lots of other top Democrats, we learned John Fetterman endorsed her today, Pete Aguilar, Dick Durbin, among others. But you are on Capitol Hill right now, right? So what's the energy like there, and what are lawmakers telling you? Anything interesting?
Yeah, so today is what's called Fly-In Day, which means it's the first day that lawmakers are back in the Capitol after the long recess. So they won't return until later this afternoon. But I can tell you there's one big thing that's happening all day right now. It started this morning, it's still going on, is that House oversight hearing with U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. That has been very heated. I just popped into the hearing room a few minutes ago. Both Democrats and Republicans really strongly pressing the Secret Service Director about the security lapses that took place at that rally of former President Trump's when former President Trump had that assassination attempt, asking them about the security lapses, about who should be held responsible, and if there will be any repercussions. So that's really been the talk of the town up here on Capitol Hill this morning in the early afternoon, but expect the conversation to maybe not shift, but definitely expand to also include President Biden dropping out and Vice President Kamala Harris ramping up her bid to be president, because this is, of course, the first time that lawmakers are back in the Capitol since that seismic decision yesterday from President Biden.
Right, definitely. A lot going on the Hill, and Vote Latino pledged $44 million to Harris. So can you tell us a little bit more about how other major donors are reacting to?
Are y'all witnessing this? Are y'all witnessing this? The money is pouring in. The endorsements are pouring in. Pay attention, y'all.
Latino pledged $44 million to Harris. So can you tell us a little bit more about how other major donors are reacting to this news? And are all of them expected to shift their support to Harris, or could she have some roadblocks there?
Yeah, we're already seeing Vice President Kamala Harris pick up some significant support among donors and among different key groups within the Democratic Party. Her team has noted that she raised around $50 million since President Biden announced he was stepping down and endorsed his vice president. When you talk about other political groups that are endorsing Harris, AAPI Victory Fund, the Collective PAC, and the Latino Victory Fund are just three that have recently thrown their support behind Harris at her presidential bid. So she is absolutely picking up support. The money seems to be flowing in. So, I would expect that the vice president's team is pleased so far with how things are going.
Let me ask y'all, what will be done with all of the money that she's collecting? What will be done with all of the money that she's collecting? I'll wait for you all to tell me.
Because remember, the caveat here is that Democrats are in such an uncharted territory. This is such an unprecedented situation. There's, nobody really knows how the next few weeks and months will run, but the money is still flowing in and the endorsements are coming. So it's a good sign for the vice president.
Yeah, like you said, the money is definitely flowing in. At the end of June, the Biden campaign had just under $96 million on hand. And just hours after the Biden's announcement to step down, the campaign filed to change its name to Harris for President. So what are the next steps for Kamala to access those funds? And could the FEC hold up that process?
Yeah, so her name was put on the super PACs and the rather super PACs. Her name was put on the campaign's war chest, so the expectation is that she will be able to get it pretty quickly. But there are some questions about whether or not Republicans will launch some, complaints, challenges about this, some legal challenges. There was one person who was signaling this earlier, Sean Cooksey, who was the Trump-appointed chair of the Federal Election Commission, the FEC, suggested that Harris may not be able to easily access the millions of dollars that are still in Biden's war chest, which, that contrasts with what a lot of campaign finance experts and lawyers are saying, that she is able to access it. Of course, beforehand, it was the Biden-Harris campaign. But nonetheless, definitely there'll be some news on the legal front as Democrats try to make this transition from Biden at the top of the ticket to Harris at the top of the ticket.
Well, given how things have gone for her at this point, do you think another Democrat would dare try and enter the fold, or is that just career suicide at this point?
I mean, never say never. We heard Senator Joe Manchin sort of flirt with it for a second and then say he has no intention of running. He just wants to have some competition and an open convention. So, when you talk about Democrats, never say never. They're a very diverse party, but right now nobody has stepped up to challenge Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's really coalescing support from several different corners of the party.
Right, it definitely does seem like she's the key frontrunner here. Former President Trump responded to the announcement, posting 10 times on Truth Social. So is the Trump campaign worried about the potential of facing Harris over Biden here?
I don't know that I'd, maybe say worried, but, this is definitely a change at the top of the ticket. And I can tell you, Republicans were quite pleased with the idea of running against Vice President Kamala Harris. Running against President Biden. His flaws were, of course, very much so on the forefront. His age, that disastrous debate performance, that subpar interview and press conference. So Republicans were pleased to be running against Biden now that he's off the ticket and Harris is at the top. They're going to figure out their new attack lines on Harris and figure out how to run their campaign. So I don't know that you can yet say that they're concerned or scared, but it's definitely, as much of a transition as this is for Democrats, it's also a transition for Republicans since it really does shake up the entire race.
Right, and as you mentioned, age was such a big factor for President Biden in this race. Do you think it'll be the same, it'll be a factor to the same degree for President Trump now that he's facing a potentially younger candidate on the other side?
I think Democrats are going to try to make it an issue because remember, this was always the election of two old guys who have already held office trying to hold office again. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now it's just one older guy who's running against a younger woman who's never held the office of the presidency before. So I think that absolutely we're going to see Republicans sort of Democrats try to flip the script on Republicans and make this matter of age an issue. It was pretty potent when Republicans used it against Democrats. Democrats are now hoping it'll have the same effect if they use it against Republicans.
Well, the DNC started an ad campaign against Trump's much younger running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, and the LGBTQ community is also voicing their concerns over him too. So what do you think are his biggest vulnerabilities heading into this election?
I think that we're just going to hear Democrats sort of describe him as, what we've heard them describe a lot of other folks, including Trump, an extreme MAGA Republican, try to touch on his, various policy positions, the different votes he's taken, his foreign policy stances. He's very America first. So I think that we're going to see Democrats really zero in on some of his policy perspectives and different votes to try to make the case against him.
Michael Schnell, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hunter Biden dropped a lawsuit against Fox News. The president's son filed the lawsuit just last month over a fictional miniseries that he claimed featured sexually explicit images of him without his consent. Now, Fox removed the show from its platforms in April, but Hunter Biden still filed the suit 2 months later. It's unclear what led him to drop it. Hundreds of migrants are headed toward the U.S.-Mexico border in hopes of attaining asylum. The group departed near Mexico's southern border on Saturday.
We're going to get into the immigrants, but y'all can see they're headed for the border. What is going to happen to this country? What exactly is going to happen to this country?
And they're on the move now for a reason. One migrant told the Associated Press that they fear another potential Trump administration could block their future chances. He also criticized the former president's comments on migrants. That's today's Daily Debrief. I'm Bianca Fascini. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Are we ready for all of those migrants? Are we ready? James says she's not for us, Shank. If she wins, it's a symbolic victory. People think she's black, shaking my head. She's Eastern Indian. She's using the black card to get in. Soon as she gets in, it will all change. The dollar will completely crash. What Tupac say about her? Y'all remember what Tusi said about her? Kim says, shaking my head, I think she's going to win. See, now, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. And this is why I've never voted. So I'm going to keep it real with y'all. In my opinion, no president really will make a major change for us. Now, Trump will be the only president that I will say that will make things halfway right for us. I'm just keeping it 100. When it comes to us, Mel want to know what are some black issues. Reparations. Let's just start right there. Reparations is the oldest when it comes to black issues. And I know for those that feel like black people should not receive reparations from the United States government, well, answer this question. If black people aren't deserved, or if black people aren't owed reparations for the U.S. government, then why do the Jews get reparations from the United States of America government for the Holocaust? Now remember, the Holocaust never took place on American soil. However, the Atlantic slave trade, y'all know what it was about. It was all over the United States of America soil. These people campaign and say whatever they think the public wants. Then, when they get into office, then they are really set down and understand what's really going on. So when it comes to black issues, I hope you're still listening, Mel. One of the black issues would be reparations. Okay? So for Mel and any and everybody else out there that are looking for an example of a black issue, reparations for us is a black issue. Now, for those that say, but Shane, y'all wasn't alive, and why should y'all get reparations? The people that should get reparations is the forefathers and foremothers of y'all who went through that. Let's use the Jewish Holocaust. Now, the Jews of today, they wasn't around. You may got maybe a couple Jewish Holocaust survivors, the same way you got a couple African-American slave survivors, but the majority of the Jews today, none of them went through the Holocaust, but they reap the benefits off of the reparations paid to them by the United States of America. So why is it okay for the Jews to receive reparations for the Holocaust that didn't happen on the U.S. soil, but how come black people can't receive reparations? Is this in Africa? Leslie, salute. I'm not voting for her after the Shanquilla Robinson. She said nothing. And that's another thing. She didn't say nothing. Now, will Trump use, and I'm sure he will, because one thing about Trump is a chess master. Watch his moves. Remember the sneakers. Y'all remember he came out with his own sneakers. Y'all remember when he was pimping his mugshot. Trump is a chess master. So Trump is going to zoom in on all those things that she did when she was a prosecutor out there in California. Trump going to zoom in on that. I'm telling y'all, mark my word. You're going to hear Trump refer to Kamala as a woman of color, and then he's going to make reference. What have she done for black people? I promise y'all. Salute Cotan. Salute Cotan. I promise y'all that. He's definitely going to drive in on that. And the black votes that she do get, she's going to lose some of those black votes. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. The black vote is just as important as a rich white man's vote. If the black votes wasn't important, they wouldn't come to our community. They wouldn't visit our churches. They wouldn't go after the black vote. So the black vote is very, very much needed. Don't get it twisted. Who will receive the majority of the black votes? Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Kamala? Well, if you got Trump and he's making promises, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Trump was in Detroit, in the hood. Y'all remember I played the demonstration when Trump was in the hood in Detroit. Kamala gonna have to step up her game. because they're going to need, whoever wins, they're going to need that black vote. I'm telling y'all. I agree with you. Jennifer says there was a heavyweight boxer who Trump dropped his kids off to him for a week in tears that he couldn't tell us that Trump wasn't racist. Who made Trump bad? Well, we know who made Trump bad. Of course, the media. The media. I just want to know from black people, what changed your heart? Because before Trump became president, black people loved Trump. Black people was always talking about how they wanted to be the next black Trump. Well, what happened? Even when he was running for office, black people was loving the idea that Trump was running for president. Black people wanted Trump to be president. What happened? Somebody let me know what happened. I want to switch lanes just for a second to Jasmine Crockett. I want to switch lanes just for a second and chop it up about Jasmine Crockett. Salute Daryl. Daryl says, look at what Trump did for while he was in office. I mean, let's go to Jasmine Crockett. Texas stands for Palestine. Let's check out Jasmine Crockett. What was Kamala done? What has Kamala done? Let's check out Jasmine Crockett, y'all. Let me know what y'all think of Jasmine Crockett.
To inquire about the nomination. I will note for our audience, of course, that he did leave the Democratic Party, so it's not clear how he would do that, but she did remind him that he would actually have to be a Democrat to do that. So she said she's not sure what he was thinking, but he did make that inquiry. Let's just talk about, because you've been one of the members who's been very clear that the push to get Joe Biden to stand down was not something that your constituents were in support of. I know that we were both in New Orleans. I think we both spoke to a lot of civilians, black voters who were very angry about it, and I think you agreed with some of them in some ways. What do you make of how this process played out, and are you confident that there is no way to stand in the way of Vice President Harris being the nominee? It seems like she's getting all these state party endorsements.
I am not confident. I will be working and working and working. As you mentioned, there was the other call with Win with Black Women, which is actually still going on right now. I have been in touch with those delegates that have pledged themselves to President Biden in my district. We are in the process of contacting all of the Texas delegation. I am not confident at all because, as it was laid out earlier, I do know that, behind closed doors, while I won't name names, that there were people that were absolutely like, it can't be the vice president. So in one breath, they were saying, the president needs to be out. In the next breath, they were also saying it can't be her. And so it was one of the reasons that I was very fearful that we would end up falling into this trap of chaos, which, we have done a really good job in the House of making it clear that the chaotic party is the Republicans, as we've watched them perform as straight up clowns this entire, year and a half. So the fact that we would eat our own was really disappointing, especially since I know that it wouldn't be kind of this smooth transition over to the other person that is on the ticket, which is the vice president. But nevertheless, everybody knows that I was doing everything that I could for the president. I'm going to do everything that I can for the vice president. I was just in Phoenix with the second gentleman where we were campaigning. I have gone around this country. I've been to Philly, I think 4 times. I've been to Michigan. So a lot of the people that were coming out and had all these opinions, I hadn't seen them in the streets fighting for this. So now that they got their way, my only request is, will you finally lace up your shoes and do some work? If it was the president that was the problem, then fine, get to work. But we have to win. I mean, I appreciate you, Joy, at all times. You probably were one of the very first people to ever bring up Project 2025. You have always made it clear that there really wasn't a decision to make. I mean, it's democracy or a dictatorship, right? It's a family man or a felon. Like, you made the choice very clear, but seemingly some people were struggling with that. And I can tell you that I know this vice president. I know her heart. The fact that I did get a phone call from her, I'm just a freshman member of Congress, y'all. But it tells you the type of person that she is. And I can't really say that I know for sure that I would be here today without the inspiration of Kamala Harris, which I was able to share with her soon upon me being sworn in. The fact that as a young black female lawyer, I looked to her when she first became an elected prosecutor in the Bay Area, and I've been following her career the entire time. So I look forward to this fight, but if anybody thinks this is going to be easy, it's not, and we need all hands on deck.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you. As somebody who, when I first got the readout, the Vice President Kamala Harris was one of the kind people who reached out. She's one of those people. So I think people are going to get to know who she is. There's going to be a lot of attention around her coming up. And I think that people will find out the lovely person that she is. And I think people will be very interested to hear her thoughts on Donald Trump. I certainly would like to see that debate. I think people might even want to see that on pay-per-view and pay money for it, because that's going to be epic. Congresswoman, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Sending it back to you.
All right,
You can sell tickets to it, Rachel. People are going to want to see it.
I'm telling you.
What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? The women are showing up and showing out for Kamala. See, it's what I said in that previous demonstration. Salute Durrell. Durrell says she was born in Oakland, California. Hackman says Kamala Hart is on her mother's side. Jennifer says her mom was a foreign dignity, so I believe she might have been born in Sacramento because of it being the capital. Are we witnessing the liberation of women? Are we witnessing the liberation of black women? What are we witnessing with Kamala Harris? Because remember, she was the first woman vice president, or was she not? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Kamala the first woman's vice president? But we are months away from Kamala possibility being the first woman president. Breezy says people are going to drink the Kool-Aid again on this BS, and I'm ashamed. James says it's crazy. They can unite to rally for Kamala, but can't rally for Shanquella Robinson. That's facts, James. Jen says, I have to be honest, she was raised in Canada, so she don't represent me one bit. What are we witnessing here? Because Jasmine, we know Jasmine, ain't nothing soft about Jasmine. There's nothing soft about Jasmine Crockett. You know what? We're going to tap into Roland Martin. Let's tap into Roland Martin. Shout out to Roland Martin. Roland pretty much always does good commentary. I love his commentary. Let's tap into Roland Martin and see his take on Kamala.
She's not ready. How she's I mean, just you name it. All of these different stories. Staff overhaul, tension, and people leaving, and she's not up to the task, and what does she really believe in, and really what she's thinking. I mean, we can go down the ladder. So this week, 2 more stories were done. Go to my iPad. This is in the New York Times. This brother, the New York Times, the story is called In Search of Kamala Harris. After nearly 3 years, the vice president is still struggling to make the case for herself and feels she shouldn't have to. The author, as you see here, is Steve W. Herndon. He's a...
Drop a 1 if y'all feel like Hackman. Hackman says feminine energy is not supposed to be in that position. Drop a 1 if y'all agree with Hackman. Drop a 2 if y'all disagree. Drop a 1 if you feel feminine energy is not supposed to be in that position. Drop a 2 if you disagree.
Brother who with the New York Times, and so that's his story on her. And so then there's another story that was done on her. This time is this one here. It's in The Atlantic. Go to my iPad. It's called The Kamala Harris Problem. And so in this particular article here, again, it lays out again in terms of what the problem is. And so when you read it, and even in this story right here, it lays out all of these different stories right here in the paragraph. But after nearly 3 years in office, the symbolic fact that Harris's position has proved more resonant than anything she's actually done with it. From almost the beginning, Harris's vice presidency has unfolded in a series of brutal headlines, exasperation, and dysfunction. Inside Kamala Harris's frustrating start as vice president, a Kamala Harris staff exodus reignites questions about her leadership style. New book says Biden called Harris a work in progress. Kamala Harris is trying to define her vice presidency. Even her allies are tired of waiting. And it goes on and on and on and on. There have been story after story after story after story. Let me explain something to y'all. How many stories did y'all see on Mike Pence as vice president to Donald Trump? I'll wait. How many stories did y'all see about Joe Biden when he was Obama's vice president? I'll wait. How many stories did you see about Dick Cheney, George W. Bush? How many stories did you actually see Al Gore as the vice president to Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush to the vice president of Ronald Reagan, Walter Mondale, the vice president to Jimmy Carter. We get Spiro T. Agnew, the vice president to Nixon. You saw more stories on him when he resigned, and then later was found guilty of corruption. So bottom line, y'all, when LBJ was vice president to Kennedy, it's not like you saw a bunch of stories there. So what am I trying to get to? Don't nobody give a damn about the vice president. Everybody knows the role of the vice president of the United States. What do they say? It's to attend funerals and to cut ribbons. The focus is on the president. I'll give you a perfect example. When Biden came out the other day to talk about what's happening with Israel, who was he standing with? Blinken, the Secretary of State, Kamala Harris, Vice President. The reality is, we have seen more of Vice President Kamala Harris. We've heard her speak more, being involved in more things publicly than we ever have any other vice president. And so when you read these stories, I just sit here and I just go, what the hell are y'all talking about? And so right here, in this story about Herndon, how Harris, this is the opening. All the conditions seem right for a chance to reset the narrative. Go to my iPad. Really? The Munich Security Conference in February. Y'all, wasn't nobody paying attention to that damn conference wasn't nobody. In this country, we focus on the president. And then you go through here and talk about, how well, she didn't really get applause. It was polite applause. Then they go through here and they talked about her being a rising star with an inside track to be the next Democratic presidential nominee. No, she wasn't. Vice President Kamala Harris as senator had no inside track to be the next nominee. She had to run like everybody else. And then the story talks about a disappointing 2020 campaign. And it was. They made some blunders in the campaign. But then when you go through this article here, they go back to Munich, and then they go on about, how Biden and Harris should be doing a lot better. And the polling numbers, and all different things along those lines. And I love this here. Interviews with more than 75 people in the vice president's orbit. There's little agreement about Harris at all, except an acknowledgement that she has a public perception problem, a self-fulfilling spiral of bad press and bad polls, compounded by the realities of racism and sexism. Duh. So you go through the article, and you see more stuff. You see the attacks on her by Nikki Haley. And then you see the more attacks. And then you see all of these stories, the case for Biden dropped Kamala Harris, all this sort of nonsense. And then, of course, when you have fellow Democrats who, in the case of C. Elizabeth Warren, who did not want to speak affirmatively about Harris being the nominee, and then how she called twice to apologize. Harris wouldn't take her phone calls. When Nancy Pelosi went on and didn't really want to answer the question, with some other candidates did not want to answer the question. We can go on and on and on. These things laid out. And so the interviews with African Americans in this story, and then you go on here. And so I love this one here. I called the top Democratic pollsters to gauge whether a Harris-led party kept them up at night. I talked with members of Biden's Vice Presidential Selection Committee to ask the question I've always wanted to know the answer to. Was Kamala Harris really chosen as a running mate because she had the right identity at the right time? The highest profile diversity hire in America? Here's why that is a bullshit-ass question from this brother. I'm going to roll y'all back to 2008. Do y'all remember the black man with a funny sounding name? Do y'all remember what they said in 2008? Obama, he can't pick a woman. America not ready for a black man and a white woman. They can a black man and a woman to be the president and the vice president. Ooh, no, America ain't ready for that. So what did they say? Oh, you know what? If Obama gonna win, he gonna have to pick an old white man. And he need an old white man to go talk to the white people in the Rust Belt states. So he need a white man to go talk to the people in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Iowa and Illinois.
Why wasn't it okay for Obama to have a woman as a vice president? But why was it okay, or why is it okay for Biden to have a woman? It makes you think, y'all. It makes you think. Let's tap back in with Roland.
In Ohio, he gonna need a white man to go talk to the folk in the South. Am I the only person who remembers that? Am I the only person? Oh, Obama, he ain't got no experience on the national stage. So guess what? He gonna have to pick a white man with some significant foreign policy experience. Joe Biden sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee with Obama. You know what? That's a great pick. Ooh, we got an old white guy who's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, who's got foreign policy experience, and then the old white guy can make all the white folk comfortable with the black guy with the funny name being president. Now, y'all notice, don't nobody ever call Biden a diversity pick. I hope y'all understanding what I'm breaking down here. Nobody calls Biden a diversity pick, even though that's exactly what Biden was. Y'all notice that anytime it's somebody black or Latino, it's, ooh, are you a diversity pick? But didn't nobody ask the question about picking the white old man as the vice president about being a diversity pick.
And that's true. That's true.
Let me continue. And so you see the article here. In nearly 3 years in office, Harris has stood dutifully by Biden's side. But in terms of her own political profile, she has remained a vacuum of negative space, a vessel for supporters and detractors to fill as they choose, not least because she refuses to do so herself. And then she's quoted in here. And then they talk about how she like, look, I ain't trying to define my stuff. And then when someone asked, what does Vice President Kamala Harris bring to the ticket? What is that clear answer? I asked. Her team made clear it would be my final question. Were you in this room of 2,000 people? She asked. I nodded. Did you see them cheering and standing? Yes, that's what I say. She stood up and walked out of the room. You further go into this story, and you hear them talking about when she ran for president and when she got attacked by Tulsi Gabbard for her criminal justice program and when she was the vice president and all of that. And let me be perfectly clear, that was her biggest mistake, and I told her and her people that when she was running. I literally said, publicly and privately, y'all know I ain't got a problem saying stuff publicly. I said then Senator Kamala Harris needs to define her law enforcement career because we were running in a period where people had a different view of somebody who'd been in law enforcement.
Wow. So we're starting to learn more about Kamala. I want to know from you all. Phoenix Rising says, I think Kamala would do really well. Isaiah says, call Mother Harris will never be the first woman president. Let's chop it up, y'all. Give me some ones. Give me some ones if y'all think Kamala is going to win. Give me some twos if y'all think Trump is going to win. Last demonstration, Trump was winning. So let's see if it changed. I don't think it changed. I don't think it changed. I don't got no one. I don't have not one yet. Not one. I got one. What you all don't understand is black people are the ones really pick who it will be. It's spiritual. Positive says, or you say, let it all play out. Let it all play out. Bobby says, or 3, Obama steals it. Because November will be here before you know it. What's we in July? So you got August, September, October, 4 months away. HW says not. November will be here with a blink of an eye. Marty says Obama's had their chance. I wouldn't want to see Obama's back. No 3 terms, but that's funny. I wouldn't even want to see Michelle. I think they already established their legacy, and I think they should just let their legacy stand. Jennifer says, I think Hillary will try super hard to cut Kamala off. You think so, Jennifer? Do you think Hillary will try to cut Kamala off? Bobby Joe says, me either. Hackman says, anything we stick together on, they know the Most High will make it happen. But can we stick together? You know, we need to stick together. But can we stick together? Salute, Hosey. Salute, Josie. Hosey. Appreciate you for pulling up, Josie. Salute. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Hit the 3 dots and hit the like button. We got 155 watching with only 34 likes. Get my likes up, y'all. Hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Mr. Knox says FBA. Hackman says we stick for the wrong thing. Yeah, we'll stick together for the wrong things. You ain't never lied about that, Hackman. When it comes to the wrong things, oh, we in it. We in it. Count me in. Appreciate that, Bobby Joe. Appreciate that, Bobby Joe. Why we can't stick together to make a change. We'll stick together to mess up some stuff, but we won't stick together to make a change. Phoenix Rising says, if Trump does win and does his Project 2025, we will seriously have little of the Constitution and what America was founded on. They want us divided, though. See, this is my thing with Trump, with the Project 2025. Y'all act like the USA has been smooth. We already been experiencing racism, prejudice. We already been experiencing hell in this country. So Trump ain't gonna do nothing no worse than what we already been going through. I hear people saying, yeah, when Trump get in office, he gonna get the cops immunity. So when they kill a black person, they already getting off with killing us. So it don't make a difference if Trump is in there or not. Salute 80s, baby. Salute 80s, baby. We got to get out of our feelings. Yeah, when Trump get back in office, he going to get the cops immunity. And that cops going to be able to get off with killing us. They been getting off with killing us. When Obama was in office, they was killing us. I mean, come on, man. When Bush was in office, when both Bush. So it ain't gonna make no difference whether Trump get in there or not. When Biden is in office, they still killing us. And they're not only killing black men, they're killing black women and black children along with black men. It's not the end of democracy. This is democracy working. He is no dictator. Where's the tangibles? 2025. But he also took away most of the rights for women that they only had for 50 years. Closed the borders. Drop a one. Drop a one. Drop a one if Trump is that bad. Drop a 2 if Trump is not that bad. Drop a 1 if Trump is really that bad. Drop a 2 if he's okay. Yes, my dad was a migrant worker when I was born. He didn't have brown eyes and black hair, so they were very distributed. Salute, Venmo. Salute, Venmo. I see you down there, Vino. Salute, salute. The polls have spoke. Sorry, Finn. Because allegedly, it's Trump, the devil's son. And this is allegedly, y'all. I got to say allegedly. Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if Trump is allegedly the devil's son. Because the way how people make him out to be, it's like, I be like, huh? How y'all get all that out of Trump? Drop a 1 if Trump allegedly is the devil's son. I'm curious to know, is he that bad? Let's go back to Roland Martin, y'all. Let's go back to Roland Martin.
It took her campaign 6 months to release her criminal justice profile. She was being attacked early on because she was a prosecutor. That was one of the biggest mistakes that her campaign made. One of the other big mistakes that her campaign made was that when she became United States Senator, she did not lock down black people. Follow me what I'm saying. I said then, God rest his soul, to Tyrone Gale, who was one of her press people. I said, Tyrone, y'all running around doing all this white media. She should be locking down black media. I said, look, she gonna run for president in 2020. Guess what? I said, Cory Booker gonna be.
And that's true. She should have been locking down black media. Trump knows. See, this is why I like Trump. I like Trump because Trump knows how to play the game. You can say what you want to say about him, but you got to give Trump credit. Trump knows how to play the game.
a president as well. Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, both of them did not do what I said they should have been doing. They should have been on black radio every 3 months talking about what was going on. Obama wasn't doing a lot of interviews with black radio. I had to call them out for him to do his first interview 18 months after he had been elected. Sure did. Got the emails to prove it. So that was a mistake. She didn't do my TV One show until she was United States Senator for 9 months. I had to cuss out Tyrone when she was on some other MSNBC show. I said, damn that, bro, what you doing? Here's why I'm saying that. You got to show up your black base. So although she was an African-American woman, although she was United States Senator, a bunch of black folks had never heard of Kamala Harris.
And that's true. This is why I love Roland's commentary, because Roland gives it to you straight, no chaser. This is true.
So, had she actually done more black radio, done black media, she would have shored up her base, then would have had that base because they would have been hearing from her on a regular basis. I literally had Michael Steele, the chairman, the chair of the Republican National Committee, accepted more of my invitations to come on my Tom Joyner morning show segment than Kamala Harris and Cory Booker did combined. That was a mistake. But let me tell y'all here's the deal though. When she drops out, I dare say between her dropping out and getting the nomination, and she did this show more combined more than she did my TV One show, and this one she did in the campaign. Why? Because she wanted to be the nominee. And you know what I credit for that? Sabrina Singh, who was one of her press people, because she understood. I was communicating with her a lot because she understood where she needed to be. So when you read all of these stories, you just need to understand what is going on here. All of these stories about what she's not doing, what she should be doing, and how she needs to be defining herself and how she needs to be more involved. In this story here, they talk about how, it was Gwen Ifill who name-checked her on appearance on David Letterman, and they talk about how they call her the female Barack Obama. See, that's part of the problem right there. Kamala Harris was never the female Barack Obama. Different circumstances. In fact, when you read the article right here, the writer talks about what she did, what she didn't do, how she didn't have much of a legislative background, and how she did not have a history of passing a whole bunch of bills and things along those lines. And so when you're reading this article, he lays it in here, and of course I had to start laughing when I was reading the article. I really did start laughing because they talked about how all the different things that Obama did when he was in the legislature. But y'all, let's be real. I was there. Obama wasn't doing those things. It was Senate President Emil Jones. Senate President Emil Jones told a lot of people, take your name off the bills, put Obama's name on the bills. And so Rebecca Crothers is laughing right now because she know I ain't lying. And so, because Obama went to Emil Jones and said, Emil, you can make the next United States Senator. Do y'all know why? Because Senate President Emil Jones in Illinois, he wasn't getting no respect. Do you know who was getting respect in Illinois? Mayor Daley, Governor Rob Blagojevich, as well as Mike Madigan, who was Speaker of the House. So Emil Jones, African-American Senate President, was getting no respect from the white folks in Illinois. So Obama saw the opening, went to him, appealed to his ego, and Emil was like, you right, we're going to make him the next United States Senator. That's why Obama got all those bills passed in a year and a half. It wasn't because he was some brilliant legislator. Because Emil Jones knew he needed a record to run on. Just so y'all understand what happens when you have context when writing these stories. So, I'm sitting here reading these stories, and again, the same writer, this brother, he talks with a particular, he's asking her all of these different questions and wants her to be speaking on the record. He talks to a fundraiser saying how all these other people are reaching out to him and how they are raising money and how they are doing all of these different things, but Kamala Harris is not doing any of those things. Let me explain something to y'all. Anybody knows politics, Kamala Harris can't do that because she's the vice president.
Are y'all listening? Let me backtrack. Are y'all listening?
Saying how all these other people are reaching out to him and how they are raising money and how they are doing all of these different things. But Kamala Harris is not doing any of those things. Let me explain something to y'all. Anybody knows politics, Kamala Harris can't do that because she's the vice president. If Kamala Harris was sitting here assembling her own coterie of donors, folk would be saying, what you doing? Your job is to support Joe Biden. When y'all understand, when you're the vice president of the United States, do you know what your job is? Yes, Mr. President. Where do you want me to go?
And that's true. That's true. That's true. Now, Douglas says facts. What's what I've been saying. That's why I love Roland's commentary, because he give it to you raw. He give it to you straight, no chasing. All right, let's dig deeper, y'all. I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Got 163 watching, 47 likes. Hit the like button. All right, let's see what I get with this. Let's see. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right. The moment you all been waiting for. The moment you all been waiting for.
Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds. And so, on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the Vice President has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this President of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, The Civil
Thank you,
Rights
Senator.
Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, like, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
That is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling. I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden.
Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready for the fireworks? Let's go.
At the last debate, you called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
Oh, man, damn commercials. It's getting hot. It's getting hot in here. I'm coming, y'all. Hold your horses. Damn commercials. It's getting hot in here. Let's go.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to
Drop a one. Drop a one if you think she was a bad prosecutor in California. If she sent innocent men to prison. Drop a two if you think she was just doing her job. This is getting interesting. Drop a one if you think she sucked at being a prosecutor out in California. Drop a two if you think she was just doing her job. Let's go.
bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response?
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you. Why are you the best candidate to heal the racial divide that exists in this country today, which has been stoked by the president's racist rhetoric?
Yeah, first of all, the president's racist rhetoric should be enough grounds for everybody in this country to vote him out of office. That one thing alone should be enough. Second, Don, I want to answer your question by tagging on the conversation we were just having. This is the fourth debate that we have had, and the second time that we have been debating what people did 50 years ago with busing, when our schools are as segregated today as they were 50 years ago. We need a conversation about what's happening now.
We're going to backtrack, y'all. We're going to backtrack because let's backtrack. Now, I was giving Kamala her props as far as a debate against Trump. Now, for surely, Trump has saw this, and for surely, Trump is definitely going to ride down on Kamala. But let's backtrack, y'all. Let's backtrack. Let me backtrack. As I backtrack, drop a 1 if y'all think Kamala lost this debate. Drop a 2 if y'all think she won. Drop a 1 if y'all think she lost. Drop a 2 if y'all think she won.
Kamala Harris. Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
That is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I'm proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming our criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades.
Now, y'all can help me understand this, right? How did these two end up on the same team? Let's backtrack. Let's backtrack. Now, after this debate, how did these two end up on the same team?
Forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were 2 of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
This is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I'm proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades.
How did they end up on the same team? It makes you think. How did these two end up on the same team?
It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling. I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard.
Here we go.
Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris.
Here we go. Hackman says they both played a role in destroying black families. Makes you think, Hackman. Drop a 1 if you agree with Hackman. Drop a 2 if you disagree.
Confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate, you called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place. That impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not, and worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that, and the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you. Why are you the best candidate to heal the...
Wow. 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 You know, one thing that I like about all of this, you learn something new every day. And not only do you learn something new every day, things that were already said You get an opportunity to hear them over again, and then you hear things that you missed when you first saw it. All right. We might got something
It's totally cool to rent a car.
new. Hold tight, everybody. This might be the same demonstration. All right, let's see. And it might not. It might be something different. I'm not going to keep y'all long. I'm not going to keep y'all long.
That is sick in the Democratic Party. What is the right you see in the Democratic Party?
That our Democratic Party, unfortunately, is not the party that is of, by, and for the people. It is a party that has been and continues to be influenced by the foreign policy establishment in Washington, represented by Hillary Clinton and others' foreign policy, by the military-industrial complex and other greedy corporate interests. I'm running for president to be the Democratic nominee that rebuilds our Democratic Party, takes it out of their hands, and truly puts it in the hands of the people of this country. A party that actually hears the voices of Americans who are struggling all across this country, and puts it in the hands of veterans and fellow Americans who are calling for an end to this ongoing Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy doctrine of regime change wars, overthrowing dictators in other countries, needlessly sending my brothers and sisters in uniform into harm's way to fight in wars that actually undermine our national security and have cost us thousands of American lives. These are wars that have cost us as American taxpayers trillions of dollars since 9/11 alone, dollars that have come out of our pockets, out of our hospitals, out of our schools, out of our infrastructure needs. As president, I will end this foreign policy, end these regime change wars, work to end this new Cold War and arms race, and instead invest our hard-earned taxpayer dollars actually into serving the needs of the American people right here at home.
Senator Harris, any response?
Oh, sure. I think that it's unfortunate that we have someone on the stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama, who has spent full-time criticizing people on this stage as affiliated with the Democratic Party. When Donald Trump was elected, not even sworn in, buddied up to Steve Bannon to get a meeting with Donald Trump in the Trump Tower, fails to call a war criminal by what he is as a war criminal, and then spends full time during the course of this campaign, again, criticizing the Democratic Party. What we need on the stage in November is someone who has the ability to win. And by that, we need someone on that stage who has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and someone who has the ability to rebuild the Obama coalition and bring the party and the nation together. I believe I am that candidate.
Thank you, Senator.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies and smears and innuendos because she cannot challenge the substance of the argument that I'm making, the leadership and the change that I'm seeking to bring in our foreign policy, which only makes me guess that she will, as president, continue the status quo, continue the Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy of regime change wars, which is deeply destructive. This is personal to me because I served in Iraq. I left my seat in the state legislature in Hawaii, volunteered to deploy to Iraq, where I served in a medical unit, where every single day I saw the terribly high human cost of war. I take very seriously the responsibility that the president has to serve as commander-in-chief, to lead our armed forces, and to make sure always, no, I'm not going to put party interests first. I will put the interests of the American people above all else.
I want to briefly give Senator Harris a final second to respond.
I believe that what our nation needs right now is a nominee who can speak to all people. I spent my entire career standing mostly in a courtroom speaking 5 words, Kamala Harris for the people. And it was about all the people, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of where they live geographically, regardless of the party with which they're registered to vote or the language their grandmother speaks. We need someone on this debate stage in November who has the ability to unify the country and to win the election.
What are y'all thoughts? Salute, Melanated. I see you, Melanated. Salute. What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? Is Kamala a fake? Drop a 1. It's getting interesting, y'all. And this is why I call it shocking news. It's getting interesting. Drop a 1 if y'all think Kamala is fake. Drop a 2 if you think she's the real deal. Drop a 1 if you think Kamala is fake. Drop a 2 if you think she's the real deal. Dynasty says she's the real deal. Yoshi and Melanated. Christina, True Element. Harry, drop the 1. Douglas, drop the 2. Jennifer, drop the 1. James, drop the 1. This is interesting, y'all. Let's see if I can find more. Let's see. All right, Melanated says she's from Cali. Melanated says she's a sellout. Let's go to some legal experts. Let's see what the legal experts have to say. And then we're going to come back and I'll take questions from the chat. Let's see what the legal experts have to say, and then I'll take questions and comments from the chat.
And placed Harris in line to have all the power that Democrats thought she shouldn't have. With Kamala Harris, the Democrats are between a rock and a hard place. Remember, a vote for Joe is a vote for Kamala. And going forward, given Biden's irreversible mental decline, Republicans, I think they need to stress that point now more than ever. Whether Biden stepped aside or not, he's not going to. Kamala Harris, who ran one of the worst presidential campaigns in our political history, she still holds the keys to the Democrat kingdom, even as she tries to play the role of enthusiastic cheerleader.
And give thanks to our commander-in-chief, the President of the United States, the extraordinary President of the United States, Joe Biden!
I think my dog ran to the other room when that was first played. And now, the most extraordinary president ever! Yeah. And if you listen closely to top Democrats and talking heads, they're really trying now to mightily trying to build her up.
I think people are hoping that he will recognize we're running Kamala Harris for president right now. That's who we're running. Nobody believes Joe Biden's going to be president in 4 years.
Yeah, I'll say. But behind closed doors, smart Democrats know the truth about Kamala. She's been way over her skis for most of her political career, which she owes, by the way, to the man she had a romantic relationship with, former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. And the New York Times obituary on her horrendous aborted 2020 campaign, that was brutal. Ms. Harris is the only 2020 Democrat, they wrote, who has fallen out of the top tier of candidates. She's proved to be an uneven campaigner who changes her message and tactics to little effect and has a staff torn into factions. And, by the way, her hemorrhaging of staff continued in the White House. Well, right off the bat, there were theories that Biden's people had it in for her right from the beginning by giving her that unenviable role of border czar. Well, and since then, she really hasn't accomplished anything, well, unless you account embarrassing herself by laughing at inappropriate times and just saying stupid things.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. I love electric school buses. I just love them for so many reasons. Maybe because I went to school on a school bus. I really love Venn diagrams.
But now they have to pretend that she's a force to be reckoned with.
She is increasing her role, and she's been a valued partner since day one. I won't get into whether she's been covered fairly by the press, but she is a valuable partner. She's incredibly intelligent.
Joining us now, Tulsi Gabbard, former Congresswoman, former 2020 presidential candidate, Fox News contributor. Now, Tulsi, you debated Kamala. Do you think she actually thinks she's smart and effective, and if so, why?
Without a doubt, she believes this. I can't even begin to analyze why that is the case. But look, you know, she has been unqualified to serve as vice president and is not qualified or capable at all for the very real prospect that if Biden wins, she will be president of the United States. That's a fact. Regardless of who's on the top of the ticket as the Democrats figure this thing out, whether it's Biden, Harris, or Harris, whoever, President Kamala Harris will be our commander-in-chief. And I can tell you, as a soldier who's deployed to multiple war zones, and I can speak for a lot of my brothers and sisters in uniform, that prospect should be terrifying for all Americans. She is incapable and unqualified to be our country's commander-in-chief, which then leads to what I know to be certain. Just as Joe Biden is not calling the shots on our foreign policy, he's got Tony Blinken and Hillary Clinton and Jake Sullivan and Lloyd Austin and all of these other people in the deep state administrative state who are not elected, who are actually making these decisions related to our foreign policy, who have pushed us to the brink of multiple wars, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than ever before. If it is a President Kamala Harris, a Commander-in-Chief Kamala Harris, it will be the very same deep state making these decisions that have done such great harm to our own national security and to our freedom as a country.
Now, the damage that these people have done, when Trump looked at Biden, and I'm just paraphrasing, but essentially said, why are you doing this to America? Why are you doing this? I mean, that's just a legitimate question. And she's just completely incapable. And it's embarrassing. I don't mean to be personal, but it's embarrassing how she speaks in public. So she might not have, obviously, cognition problems, but she's just not that capable. And that's a problem. Now, Tulsi, moments ago, 2 more Democrats came out in support of Biden. Check this out.
Do you support Joe Biden staying as your Democratic nominee?
Yes, I made clear the day after debate, publicly, that I support President Joe Biden in the Democratic ticket. My position has not changed.
Joe Biden is our nominee. He is not leaving this race. He is in this race, and I support him.
AOC, the great crusader, just minutes ago, another squad member, Ayanna Pressley, said Biden's the nominee. I mean, the squad just fell right in line with the warmongers. Don't you love that? The perpetual war party and the squad just dropped all of their peacenik ways and went right with them. It's all about power, Tulsi.
And this is the choice voters have, and it's a very clear one, Laura.
Well, I'll let y'all be the voters. Biden or Kamala. Either way, you're going to have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, I won't say that they'll make a terrible president. I mean, no matter who gets in the office, no matter who's the president, there's going to be some good things about him. It's going to be some bad things about them. I mean, and especially their past. If you think you're going to find somebody that's going to be squeaky clean, it ain't happening. If I was elected as president, it's going to be something. Somebody, somewhere is going to be able to dig up on me that I said or I did. So I think we need to go into this next election. Let's not go into Trump's past. Let's not go into Kamala's past. Let's not go into what they say. I mean, to be honest with you, Trump and Kamala, at times, they both made asses out of themselves. I mean, so you just ain't going to be able to get around that. However, focus on what Trump did do his 4 years in office. Don't focus on what he didn't do. Don't get caught up in what he didn't do. Focus on what he did do. When it comes to Kamala, salute Sharon, don't get caught up in what she was doing while she was vice president, because as they showed us, the vice president really don't do nothing. The vice president ain't nothing but a yes-sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Like they said, the vice president just basically attends funerals and, other BS. But at the end of the day, a job has to be performed. Whether it's Trump or Kamala. My opinion, when it came to Trump in his 4 years in office, Trump done a good job. His character, and I always say this, my issue with Trump has always been his character. The tweets, man, get your orange ass off of Twitter. That's my opinion. The comments that he made towards women and things of that nature, that was negative. But overall, Trump did do a good job. He did. The January 6th Capitol building riots, that was negative. And I know a lot of people say, but Trump told the Trump supporters to be peacefully, but he did make reference to taking over. He did. So for the Trump supporters, we cannot just sit up here and act like Trump was just this perfect guy while he was in office, because he wasn't. However, he did do a good job as far as the president. The rest of the world knew not to play with him. So you can't take that from Trump. So my question now is going to be, if Kamala wins, what is going to be her approach? What is going to be her approach? They say, and ladies, just hear me out. They say that women act off emotions, and I'll let the women help me with this. Women, is it true that women act off emotions? Drop a one if y'all feel as though women act off emotions. Drop a two if y'all feel no, not all the time. Let's try to get some kind of understanding. Dynasty dropped a 1. Hackman says true. Christina says 1. So for Kamala, that'll be something that'll be interesting, and it's, in my opinion, it's not to say that she won't do a good job. However, she'll have to have her feelings intact. 80s baby says 2 sometimes. So as a woman, when it comes time to make those decisions, you got to have those feelings intact. True Element says, men are based off of performances, women based off emotion. Hackman says emotions and not reality. Right. So That's going to be interesting. And once again, I'm still not saying just because she's a woman and she's going to think and react with her emotions. I'm not just saying, oh, flush her down the toilet. You know, that's just something that she has to work on. That's something that her circle has to work on, because you're going to be in situations as the president. You're going to be in situations. You're going to get in situations where you're going to have to get out of your feelings. Sharon says, two, it's about business. Right. I am says, I'm a woman and want a man to lead our country. Okay, so how do you feel, Jamie? How do you feel, Jamie, about Kamala? Would you prefer Trump over Kamala? Let's start there. What could be unburdened by what has been? Would you prefer Trump over Kamala? Because some females feel that way. We need a woman president. Some females feel as though a woman is not meant to lead. Some men feel that way. Some men and women feel that way. Jamie says, yes, I voted Trump last election as well. We need a woman president. You got some women will tell you, I don't want no woman leading the country. Now, if we go biblical, you know, God, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, if we go biblical, God never meant for women to lead. But I'll let y'all decide on that, because, you know, independent women will say that. Trump 2020, the right woman, but not Kamala. Let's pray Trump get elected. We need a woman. Yes, I voted. We need a woman. Okay. Let's see what we have here, y'all. And then I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. A few more minutes, and then I'm gonna let y'all get out of here.
Fox News can now confirm that the Vice President, Kamala Harris, spoke with former President Barack Obama yesterday. Obama came out with a statement yesterday following Biden's decision to drop out. It did not endorse Harris. Obama also did not endorse Biden in 2020. So presumably, he probably said, hey, look.
Salute, Miss G. Salute, Miss G. Dynasty says a man should lead 100%. New Warner, someone like Prince Diana of Wales would have been a good president. Hackman says the Bible says assume authority over a man.
Listen, I'm not going to endorse you at this point. The big question, because what we've heard from the Obamas is they want an open process. They want a competition. So it sounds like at least over the phone, person to person, Barack Obama said, I'm not going to endorse you.
Remember, he didn't endorse Joe Biden either. Remember, 2016 and 2020. Let's bring in Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's running as an independent. Wanted to run as a Democrat. They basically told him he couldn't by moving the New Hampshire primary. Welcome, Robert. Great to see you. Your reaction to what's happened over the last 24 hours?
I think it's encouraging, and thank you, Steve, and thanks for having me. I think it's encouraging that that President Biden dropped out. That was something, you know, when I got in a year ago, I said that he was not, that his deterioration made it clear was not going to improve, and that it made it clear that he could not run the country. I think the Democrats really need to do what President Obama said, which is to have an open process, a genuinely open process. So much of the primary process was rigged. The country knows that. It's rigged to benefit the corporate elites.
Leslie says women shouldn't be in this type of leadership role. Do y'all think? Drop a one. Drop a one if y'all feel like Leslie. Drop a one if y'all feel like women shouldn't be in this type of leadership. Drop a 1. Drop a 2 if you disagree.
And I think the Democratic Party really needs to distinguish itself from the Republican Party. President Trump announced yesterday that Jamie Dimon is his choice for Commerce Secretary, and that Larry Fink is his choice, who's the head of BlackRock, is his choice for the Treasury Secretary. And I think the Democrats really have an opportunity now to distinguish themselves as a party of the American middle class, as the party that cares about working people, that cares about the deficit, that cares about the chronic disease epidemic that is devastating the people of this country. And but I think they're going to need an open process, and I do not see that any evidence they're going to do that.
Real quickly, Robert, they say that they want to have this, and by the way, we want to confirm that first if Donald Trump has selected them. We haven't seen those reports just yet. But Robert, can you go into detail about this open process? How can you have an open process when the people don't get the vote? When the delegates get to decide who's going to be your nominee? They could have done this months ago, but they decided not to do that.
There's a couple of ways they could do it. One is they could have ranked choice voting. If they have ranked choice voting, it would give where the delegates choose not only their first choice, but their second choice, perhaps their third choice.
Drop a 1 if you agree with Christina. Christina says, I grew up as Democrat and never thought I would vote Republican. I'm voting who would stabilize America again. Drop a 1 if you agree with Christina. Drop a 2 if you disagree.
That would be a genuinely open process. Another thing they could do is to base it on national polling, to do some really good polling, to spend a couple $1 million polling the American public and seeing who is more likely to beat Donald Trump, and giving that information to the delegates and allowing them to make a decision based on that. It has to be some kind of fair process, because it looks to the American public that the system is just rigged, which it is.
Right. So they're going to have a meeting on Wednesday at the DNC to figure out the rules going forward. To be a nominee in the process, you need 300 signatures from the about 4,000 delegates. You know that. Robert, you are a lifelong Democrat running as an independent now. Are you going to be one of the challengers? Are you going to challenge Kamala Harris?
Well, I'm running, Lawrence, I'm running as an independent now, and I think the Democrats would make if they looked at the polling, I'm the only candidate who can beat Donald Trump.
Right.
But I'm not going to get into the Democratic Party as long as the system seems rigged. If they had a fair system, I would definitely look at it.
Even though they covered it up, and we're a month away from the DNC, only 107 days away from voting day, the Dems and the media heard this news yesterday, and they started praising. Listen to this.
He has put people over politics and patriotism over personal position. And this is another heroic act in a long-running series of heroic acts by Joe Biden.
You know, the president took the honorable path. And I think, yes, this will be about his legacy.
Today's decision by Joe Biden to not seek re-election shows the difference between a selfless president and in Donald Trump, a selfish person.
I think today we should focus on Joe Biden's incredible legacy of service to our nation, his selflessness, his accomplishments.
Today is about what Joe Biden did. He gave America a lesson in patriotism.
I know they're so happy because they didn't see a path for Joe Biden to win. But how angry should they be? How angry should the American public be? Because they covered this up. They knew about what was happening behind the scenes, and it wasn't until the debate when they really recognized it publicly.
Yeah, you know, when they were talking just now, it reminded me of George Washington, who actually did a genuinely selfless act. Nobody expected him to leave the presidency. He could have easily won another term. The whole country wanted him to stay. And King George III, when Washington announced that he was not going to run again, King George III said that makes him the greatest leader in human history. And he did something that was genuinely selfless. I think the perception here is that President Biden was forced out. I commend President Biden for 50 years of service to our country, but I think that the last several months of trying to stay in this race when he was clearly not capable of performing the duties.
And here we have it, y'all. One way or another, Joe Biden will not be reelected. We know that Joe Biden, as of yesterday, Joe Biden has dropped out of the 2024 presidential election. So Joe Biden definitely won't become the next president, or he won't serve another term. My moderator, 80s Baby, has just made it aware to me that I've just reached 9,000 subscribers. Salute, a big shout out to all of my new subscribers. I appreciate everybody for subscribing to the channel. I'm at 9,000. I think a month ago I was only at 5,000. So a shout out to all my new subscribers from all over. Salute everybody. I'm going to be having a celebration. And I'll let everybody know when and what the new celebration will be. But once again, I appreciate that, Steve. I appreciate all my new subscribers. I'll see y'all back tomorrow at 4. Make sure y'all pull back up tomorrow. Appreciate you, True Element. Appreciate everybody that subscribed today. Make sure everybody pull back up tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Salute, everybody.